Something like that.
That's a good look.
Trying to match you right there. That could go well with that outfit.
I don't have really that kind of shirt.
I don't either. That's why I wear it and no one sees it.
When your head coach tells you he wants to run the ball more, how is that message received from your perspective?
I mean, there's no blinking or anything like that. I mean, the reality of it is the last few weeks, the offense hasn't played to the standard, and so in order for us to be able to run the ball more, we have to obviously, we have to stay on the field. You can't have two drives where you turn the ball over on the first play of the game. You have to be able to extend drives on third down, and you can't have penalties. So all that kind of plays in hand. It hasn't been a thing of not trying to run the ball or not wanting to run the ball. So, I was in full agreement of, coming with that same mindset.
How much do you need from Shi Smith this week, especially with all the injuries in that room?
I know it's so cliche, but I just need Shi to go out there and when his number's called upon for him to just do what he does, and you have to be conscientious and making sure that obviously with injuries and whatnot that you don't ask some of these guys to do too much too. He played his first action, but I was pleased with what I saw last week, and I'm excited for him to just build upon that this week.
Had him at the Senior Bowl. Do you remember like a first impression or anything? First time you saw him, you thought, okay, this guy could fill in the blank.
Unfortunately, I wasn't at the Senior Bowl, but I was sitting there, in isolation watching them on TV. So, but it was actually an interesting, from my perspective, you're seeing it on TV and you're seeing the flash. You're actually able to watch all the one-on-ones, and during that time, the NFL Network plays the Senior Bowl on reruns, so you're able to watch all the one-on-ones over and over, and then again the staff meetings. So he popped out on the tape as it was. So so even that I wasn't there, I was able to notice that.
What have been your thoughts on Chuba as he continued to get more carries, and do you think he's suited for an increased role if he does get more carries?
Well, it's what I've actually enjoyed seeing about Chuba is you've seen the difference from obviously preseason week one, but you're seeing he's running more confidently. He's playing with that. I don't know what the right word is, but he's playing where he feels like, hey, at any given moment, man, I'm going to break this. I feel, it's one of those things, just keep working, I think it's only a matter of time before he hits that crease and he's able to break a long one. But I just feel like I'm watching a confident football player in there, one that's done a great job protecting the ball, most importantly, but a guy that's getting more of a feel of understanding, how defenses are playing, how quick holes close, but a guy that is feeling confident when he's in there with the ball in his hands.
Oversimplify it, but what's the difference in calling a game in NFL versus in college?
I don't know if it's. You're still going through the same situations, the same mindsets, the same. I think from our perspective in the NFL, it's probably been more personnel groupings and more changing, but you're getting the same type of defenses, you're getting the same situation. So it hasn't been anything that it's like, wow, that's been a huge difference. Maybe more so it's probably the tempo's a little slower in the NFL, but outside of that, hasn't felt like much of a difference.
How do you get some semblance of the passing game with the way that your line has been playing the last couple of weeks?
Well, look, I don't, I think a lot of attention naturally goes on the offensive line, but it's not. I know it always seems cliche to say, hey, we're all in it together, but in order for sometimes if quarterback's holding on to the ball or if we're getting sacked, it's not necessarily always the offensive line. It could be, a receiver, runs a wrong route. It's not saying it's specifically happening. It could be, getting covered. It could be, Sam bypassing a read. And I'm not saying all these things are happening, but it's not always strictly the offensive line. And so to me, it's more about our guys just making sure that everybody's locked in and understanding what their role is and what they have on every specific play, and for us to be able to execute and just be able to go through the progressions. And when the balls are thrown to us, we got to be able to, make plays on the ball. We got to catch it and continue to move the chains.
How do you feel about the line play?
Like I said, I always feel confident. If you look at the last few weeks, I think the guys we've been able to run the ball better. And then the pass pro, I have seen an improvement since early in the season. Our biggest thing is no matter what you get into, if you look at last week, we were in a lot of third and longs. And no matter what, statistically, it's not an easy down to convert on. And so when you're playing off schedule, when you're playing in second and tens, third and tens, there's not a lot of offenses that are going to have success. And so we have to do a better job on schedule, early downs to be able to, so teams aren't able to, sit in a position where we know it's a pass heavy down. And then obviously, situations dictate itself being in like you're down 2 scores and you're having to drop back and get going with that, but as much as we can get defenses playing and we're feeling like we're on schedule where it can be a run or a pass, it'll make life easier not only for the offense line but for everybody.
As you look back, what were your thoughts about Michael Jordan going into the lineup, and how did he look?
Look, he's ever since we got him here for a guy to come here, right after training camp, so not been a part of it. How fast he's been able to grasp the offense, pick up the offense, understand the techniques, but also just the way that he plays. He plays angry. You see that demeanor with him. He wants to finish his blocks. Sometimes. You'll always, as a coach, sometimes you'll take not saying he has MAs, but you'll take an MA of a guy that's just playing hard. And so even since day one, when he had no clue what he was doing, he was going there and he was going 100 miles an hour. And so, that's what we want to see. And so I was pleased with him going in there, not blinking, and being able to execute on this past Sunday.
How do you get a guy caught up like that who hasn't been around for OTAs and training camp? I mean, what's that education process like?
Well, I think it's a credit to Pat Meyer and Tony Sparano of understanding. Hey, it's just because we got a guy in here and we have a starting 5. We have to coach and get all these guys ready to play, because as we've shown this year, everyone's having to play. And so it wasn't one of those approaches where, hey, we sign a guy, it's an active roster, and hey, we're hoping that this is a guy that we're going to develop for years to come. It's more of a, hey, we got to get this guy ready to play. He might have to play this week. And so it's a credit to him, and it's a credit to our coaches getting him. Understanding exactly, hey, this is the techniques we use, this is how we call it, and so, they've done a great job at that.
To that end, how creative will you have to be with the wide receiver position, given that you do have a pretty hefty injury report slanted that way?
Yeah, I mean, I think, one thing we learned last year, injuries happen, and it's all about, we got to trust the guys that are out there, and, no one really cares when people are injured in terms of, we still got to play a game on Sunday. And so, we have to find that fine balance of trusting that the receivers that are out there, they're going to be able to, have success and put them in position to have success, but also understanding that it can't just always go to the wide receiver room. So if there's some injuries at one unit, some other unit, we might have to, utilize some other people more. And so, I think it all kind of is interchangeable, and that'll be stuff that, come Sunday, we'll see how that all plays out.
What were your initial thoughts on the situation at LSU with Coach O, and have you reached out to him since it's happened?
Yeah, no, I didn't really have any thoughts. Unfortunately for us, we just came off of a loss, when all that stuff came out. So that was the last, there's a lot more things on my mind. So I don't really have many thoughts with that. I had a great experience, my time in there, but I was way more concerned with our performance, this past Sunday, and finding ways for us to improve it this Sunday.
Is that a job that would interest you, or do you want to stay on the NFL level, or?
All those things, from a coaching perspective, are things that, I don't really pay a lot of attention to. It's one of those things like after seasons, I think about those things. But right now, I got to do a better job of being the offensive coordinator for the Carolina Panthers, and that's all I'm really concerned about right now.
Okay. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys.